Hey everybody, I'm Kombucha Kev, and with this video I'll be going over the process of brewing kombucha within a oak barrel. So this is a gift I got recently from my dad, so thank you for the gift. This has been really exciting to brew in and a good way to produce some different flavorings within the primary fermentation. So this barrel is from barrelsonline.com, and the really cool thing about it is it's made for brewing kombucha. So a lot of barrels that are made for fermenting are actually on their side, and they have one hole to add in wine or beer. But with kombucha, we want it to be an aerobic fermentation, so we need this open top, and this fits the bill perfectly. I did add this harness on from one of my Northern Brewer Big Mouth Bubblers, which helps move it around. It came with a spigot, this wooden one, but I actually ended up putting on this stainless steel one I had on hand. Just, I've heard they could be a little more reliable. But yeah, that's the barrel. When you get it, you'll see that the inside is actually charred. So they do that for the flavor to be released, but it's also used to basically sanitize the inside. So as you can see, this barrel is made from a number of boards kind of bound together, but it's not perfect. There's gaps between each of these boards. And basically you need to prep it before you can brew in it. So what this entails is basically filling it with hot water and letting it soak overnight. The wood expands as it absorbs that hot water, and it seals in all of those little cracks. So I've heard a lot of brewers having trouble with getting it to seal, but this barrel sealed up right away. I put the water in at night, and by the morning it was completely sealed up. Like I mentioned, the inside was charred, so that helps with sanitizing the barrel. But I also added Camden tablets within the barrel when I was doing that stage of adding the water to make it expand. So I did 1 tab per gallon, and that'll just make sure that there's no bacteria on the inside and it won't ruin my brew or anything. But if you do that, you want to make sure to rinse it out really well. You don't want any of that sanitizer to stay in here. And to that point, you don't want to use PBW in this. I know a lot of my other vessels, I use PBW to clean. With this being wood, you don't want it to absorb any of those chemicals. So you want to basically keep it to just water, your kombucha, some Camden tablets, and rinsing it out really well. So you'll start your primary fermentation the same way you do with any other vessel. You'll make your tea, you'll add your starter kombucha, and then you'll add your SCOBY in. So I'm at that step right now. I have a batch of kombucha here that's primary is completed. It has a really nice oaky taste, and it's ready to move to the next step. So the flavoring. But you don't want to flavor within the barrel for 2 reasons. First off, the fruit. You don't want it to get stuck to the side. Like I mentioned, you can't use PBW to clean it out, so you don't want to have the residual fruit kind of lingering around in the barrel. It might be more likely to mold. But then second reason is with the flavoring, you usually want it to be in a closed environment where there wouldn't really be a way to put an airlock on this barrel. Plus, it breathes through the wood too. So I should mention that these barrels come either varnished or unvarnished. If you're doing kombucha, you'll want to get it unvarnished so that it can breathe through the wood. But with your flavoring, you wouldn't want it to be in here because there'll be a lot of air within that fermentation process then. So what I'm going to do is transfer my kombucha to a SS brew bucket for the secondary fermentation. So what I have here is I cut up a bunch of fruit. I'm going to add it into the vessel. All right, now I'm going to start draining the kombucha from the barrel into the bucket I'll be using for my secondary fermentation. And for the secondary fermentation, I'm just going to seal it off and then add the airlock on. And then I'll let this go a couple days until it's ready to keg. But yeah, that one's all set. So here's a better view of the inside. As you can see, it's charred from the from them burning the inside. You can see my scobies in there. Next up, I'm basically going to treat this as kind of like a continuous brew. When you're brewing within a barrel, you don't want to go for a very long period without having a batch brewing in here. So if I were to just stop brewing, this will dry out, and then you have the potential for those, those leaks and cracks to form again. So basically, I'm just going to get my next batch going, and I'll add my starter tea and the kombucha starter into this and get the next batch going. All right, so I'm waiting for my batch of tea to heat up. So in the meantime, I'm going to transfer some starter kombucha into the barrel. I have my SCOBY Hotel here. I'll just draw from here. So I'll do about a gallon, where this is a natural substance, it's wood, potential for mold. I like to use a lot more starter to kind of prevent that chance of any mold forming. Alright, so there's the starter. I already have scobies in here, so I'm just waiting on the tea, and then I'm going to cool that and then put it in here. Alright, I just made the batch of sweet tea, so final step is to transfer it into the barrel, and then let that primary fermentation run. Alright, so I've been carbonating my oak barrel kombucha for a couple days now, so I'm going to give it a pour real quick. And there it is. I'm going to let the foam settle just a little bit. But I really like that the oak barrel gave it this nice woody flavor. What I didn't expect is it also gave it this really nice vanilla flavor, which goes really well with that peach I put in there. So yeah, so really happy with the results of this. I think the oak barrel is a really nice addition to my setup, and I think I'm just going to keep a batch rolling in there all the time. So yeah, feel free to try it out. If you're not ready to jump feet first into using a oak barrel, they also make little oak spirals that you could put into your vessel during your secondary fermentation. So that might be one way to get your feet wet if you think you might want to try it out, but you don't want to buy the barrel right away. So yeah, give it a shot, and cheers.